to advise any students coming out of college who are going to go into a classroom, I would first say thank you, and then just offer them this guidance to always trust that the process, even when it doesn't look like it's going to work, the process will work. You just have to engage in what it is you are committing to do. And don't be afraid to reach out for the support that you need, because I think that so many of our young educators fall by the wayside because they don't get the support that they need or that they want or that they feel they deserve, and they do. They don't know what to ask for, and they don't know how to ask for certain things because this is brand spanking new for them. So I would encourage that new college graduate to find a school that you are just the right fit for. Build relationships with your team, with your administrators, and rely on those people to help you get through those pivotal points that can become discouraging because you are kind of unsure of what the next thing needs to be. But just to hang in there and trust that the process works if you really engage in and with that process.
And just to add to what Dr. Taylor said, I definitely commend any new teacher for following your passion and coming into a wonderful profession, and we welcome all educators. The advice that I would give, or the guidance, would definitely be to make sure that you're not afraid to speak up and make sure that you're not afraid for your voice to be heard. A lot of times it's really easy to sit in meetings or sit with veteran teachers or educators and feel like they've been doing this forever, they have all of the answers. And a lot of times we do have a lot of the answers, but what we don't have are that fresh set of eyes or that new innovation. And a lot of new teachers have so many new things to offer that we're not even familiar with, but sometimes they are afraid to speak up because they feel like, oh, well, I haven't been doing this long enough, or they don't feel validated. So don't be afraid to speak up. Share your ideas. We need them. We have been doing things for a very long time in education, and we know a lot of the nuances, but your ideas may be something that could solve new problems that we're experiencing, or even old problems. So your voice is just as valuable as anyone else's that's been there for a long time. Don't be afraid to share your thoughts and ideas.
I think that's so powerful because you can bring that new energy that might be just what the school needs to get to that next level.
Join Sheikah and Tammy on the collaborative. Let's go!
The collaborative.
1, 2, 1, 2.
The collaborative.
What's that time?
On Facebook Tuesday at 7. The collaborative.
The collaborative. Who we have? Come on.
We have our leaders. We have our teachers and our parents. We have our authors. Story time at the end. Solving problems in our education system. Phenomenal women.
Join them on Facebook.
On Facebook Tuesday at 7. The collaborative.
It's that time. You're with Sheikah and Tammy.
The collaborative.
Phenomenal ladies. It's educational. Here on the Facebook. The collaborative.
The collaborative.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the collaborative. Hi, Tammy.
Hey, Sheikah, how are you?
Doing well. on this Teacher Appreciation Day, and we enjoyed
Mhm.
our event sponsored by the district.
Yes, so excited. This is a very special week, so we want to say happy Teacher Appreciation Week, and we want to rewind to say happy Principals Appreciation Day on yesterday to everybody. So thankful for the opportunity to have an edition that celebrates and appreciates our educators.
Definitely. And congratulations to your teacher who is the winner, was
Yes.
the winner for the district. You want to give her a shout out?
I definitely do. Brooke Raven, Mrs. Brooke Raven is a first grade teacher at Great Falls Elementary School and was named the Chester County School District Teacher of the Year. So we are very, very proud of her. Well deserved, Brooke. And
Definitely.
we are ecstatic. I was late getting there, but she was still there when I got there, and she was just still floating on there because she still couldn't believe it. That's because she's so humble.
Oh, that is awesome. And
Yeah.
I know her children will be excited when
Oh yeah,
she
we're gonna celebrate her big after testing tomorrow.
definitely after testing.
After testing tomorrow, we'll do a real big thing for her. But we want to just say, great evening, everybody. And thank you all so much for joining us, for all our educators, parents, community members, and our authors. Please like and share our feed. Do not keep us all to yourselves. And as you come on, please tell us where you're coming from. We are, as you know, your problem solver educators, but we do not trick ourselves into thinking that we solve problems alone because we can't. We come together with you guys once a month to bring awareness and to bring our collaborators together to form true alliance around real topics and so that we could hear one another's voices. We believe that we truly are better together, especially when it comes down to our children.
Most definitely. And we are super excited to have our very own superintendent, who we call the big boss, with us, Dr. Antwon Sutton of Chester County School District. He has a special message for teachers and Teacher Appreciation Day today. And then he's going to get into letting us, those of us that may be aspiring superintendents, give us some insight into becoming a superintendent, if that's your goal.
Thank you so much, Shika. And I am so glad that Dr. Sutton is here with us. Can't wait to hear his message. Let's bring him on.
Welcome, Dr. Sutton.
All right. Good evening.
Sutton, welcome.
Good
Yes, thank
evening.
you.
And I'm going to give you a proper introduction by reading your bio, let everyone know who you are. So, Dr. Antwon Sutton is a native of McClellanville, South Carolina, located in Charleston County, and is currently in his third year as the Chester County School District Superintendent. Dr. Sutton graduated second in his class after completing high school and was an honor student and student government president. He obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration from Winthrop University and an MAT degree in Business and Marketing Education from Winthrop University. While in college, Dr. Sutton worked as a school bus driver in the Rock Hill School District in order to help pay for college. Dr. Sutton taught marketing, economics, and integrated business applications at Clover High School. Later, he was then promoted to an assistant principalship at Clover High School after completing his educational specialist degree program through South Carolina State University in educational leadership. He then completed his doctoral program in educational leadership at South Carolina State. And after working for several years at Clover High School, he began working at Clover Middle School as an assistant principal, where he remained until becoming the principal of Sedgeville Middle in Goose Creek, South Carolina. Dr. Sutton was then selected as the principal of Alcorn Middle School in Columbia, South Carolina, in Richland School District 1, where he remained before joining the Fort Mill School District as executive director of student services. During that time, he also taught courses at York Technical College and taught as an adjunct professor in the College of Education for Winthrop University. After 4 years in the Fort Mill schools, Dr. Sutton was selected as the new superintendent for Chester County Schools in May 2020. Carolina Panthers football and mentoring students to help them succeed are major passions of Dr. Sutton. He is very active in his church and currently serves as the chair of the Finance Committee. Dr. Sutton has completed research and presented at conferences on increasing student engagement in schools, improving school leadership, and on the impact of single gender education and student performance. He's a member of several organizations. I'm not going to read them all, but I'm definitely going to read Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity and also the South Carolina of Black School Educators and the chair of the board of directors for the Old Schools Consortium. So welcome, Dr. Sutton. Thank you for being here, and we appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm excited to be a part of the collaborative this evening.
Thank you. And we are an educational show. So we always start off with on this day in history. So on this day, National Teacher Day was first celebrated on March 7th, 1984, after the NEA joined with the Kansas and Indiana State Boards of Education to lobby Congress to have the day nationally recognized. Later, the National Teacher Parent Association expanded the celebration to a week in May, and it is believed that the idea to honor and celebrate teachers who pour into the lives of many came after two teachers, one from Arkansas and one from Wisconsin, wrote First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt about a special observance to honor teachers, and that was back in 1953. If this is your first time tuning in to the collaborative, one of the things that we also do to be able to get to know our guests is this or that. So we're going to play a little this or that. This is superintendent style with Dr. Sutton, just so we can get to know him. So I'm going to put the questions up, Dr. Sutton, and you tell us which one fits you. So are you a get your hands dirty superintendent or presidential? Shake hands and kiss babies.
Can I be a combination of both?
You can.
No, sir, you cannot. The game is now when I play the game and I need she says,
I tell she's doing it wrong.
Can do it. Okay. Well, I will pick one to keep things consistent. But at times I feel I have to do things. It varies based on the setting I'm in. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'm getting my hands dirty, and sometimes I have to be presidential because I'm the face of the district. So it really depends on the setting or who I'm with at the time, according to me. But I definitely, at heart, I'm a hands dirty superintendent. I don't mind getting it, rolling my sleeves up, and helping where I need to. And my principals know that. It's definitely something, you get caught up with other things in your role, but I wish I could do more of getting dirty in the trenches. But a lot of times, running an entire school system, there are other responsibilities that come into play where I can't get as dirty as I want to get.
Right.
But I would say I'm get my hands dirty superintendent.
Okay. And I should have prefaced this by Tammy and I know these answers. We just want everybody else to get to know you. All right. So are you a superintendent that shows up at schools and needs an escort to take you around, or you get to where you need to on your own?
Get to where I want to know my own, and I know Dr. Taylor definitely could attest to that, because at times when I've come to her building and she'll do you want, I'm like, no, go just gotta do, and I'll find my way. I'll go to rooms, and if I need to go to a certain particular room, I'll ask someone in the hallway, or I just wander and pop in the rooms. That's what I want to do, so I don't need an escort.
Okay.
Yes,
awesome. And lastly, are you a shoot me a text? Definitely at the appropriate hour, of course, kind of superintendent, or make an appointment with my secretary. And this is for principals and DO staff, of course, not for everybody.
Oh, it's shoot me a text, and just whenever I get, sometimes my text phone goes off at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's been 3:30 a.m. So just shoot me a text. I'll call, and they know I answer. Yeah.
You do. Very responsive. We have to say thank you for being such a responsive superintendent. So, Dr. Sutton, we are so humbled to have you on and appreciate you joining us. And we are very, very thankful for all of the support that you've offered Tashika and I for not just this platform, but whatever it is, conferences or whatever we're trying to do to help to further the cause of education. So we want you to know how much we do appreciate you. And of course, we all heard your bio and your background. Tell us, though, what made you decide to become a superintendent, and tell us how you knew you were ready.
How I knew that was always that's a goal, something I wanted to obtain. I've always been that way throughout my life. When it's as far as going to college, I'm the first in my immediate and extended family to go to college and complete degrees. I had others that went before me, but they never completed. I was the first, and so of course when I started that, the thing was, okay, I want the next degree. I want a master's degree, and then after that, I want a doctorate. So I worked towards that. So I always set those goals and put things in place to meet those goals. And so again, once I got into into education, as far as a teacher, as I did that, my goal was I want to become an administrator. So of course, put myself into place to be able to do that, to earn the degree certification that's needed to be an assistant principal. Then from there, principal. Then from principalship, district level, and I of course position myself to do that. And definitely want to have experience. I didn't want to jump too quickly, but I wanted to have experiences at those various levels, so it would help. And my ultimate goal was to become a school superintendent, and of course, having those varied experiences prior to helped me to move through the process of becoming superintendent of Chester County Schools. So I felt ready, and we all know we have that kind of internally. At a point you realize I want to do something different, or I'm ready for that next level, and I just felt I was ready. A lot of people say I'm crazy because in 2020 everything fell out, with the pandemic and schools closed suddenly and all. And this happened, when schools were closed, everything came about. So I just felt I was ready to try, and I really thought I would apply for the experience of the interview process. I also then thought they're not going to want this young guy to come in here and lead a district during a global pandemic. So I went through the process thinking I would just go through and see what the experience would be like for a superintendency. And, God had other plans. Going through the process, and I had one interview, and then I had a second one, then I had a third one. And then I got the phone call, you're the one the board wanted. So here I am 3 years later.
Well, we're thankful that you did apply and that was their decision. You've done an incredible job of leading us, and you led us very, very well through what was a tumultuous time. So yes. You've done an outstanding job. So we appreciate
Thank
you. This is one thing that we want to get your opinion on, and this is just something that we hear. Like you hear, you don't need to apply for a superintendency until you don't need a job anymore. Tell us what your thoughts are on that, being a young superintendent.
I would definitely say don't do that. I'm pretty sure whoever said it, if I was somebody in their retirement, because I think where that's coming from is people tend to think, when you're in these roles, so quickly you could be out of a job. The board could vote, you could go to a meeting and you think you're good to go, and you come out that day, and by the end of the meeting, you're out of a job. That happens. But hopefully the way things are, you keep the relationship, a great work relationship with your board to where there won't be any surprises like that at a meeting. But it's a stressful role, a lot of responsibility. So a lot of people, when it comes to superintendency, they don't stay long because it's very stressful. People, they turn gray. They're on blood pressure medication, everything else. And I'm not planning to do any of that. I'm trying to keep my hair nice and black and not on any medication. But I would say, you go into the role because you feel you're ready for it and that you have something to offer a school system. I couldn't go into this worried about if I'm going to, how long I'm going to be in it or not. Now, that is in the back of my mind because I'm not going to, I know at some point my season will be up in Chester or whatever I'm doing as far as the superintendency. But I go into it every day knowing I'm giving my all. And I just have to have the faith and confidence that I know I have the support of my school board members, that I'm not going to be blindsided and out of a job. If hopefully if that ever happens, I'll know in advance that it's coming to a close for me in Chester, and then I'll prepare myself for the next move. But right now, I feel things are going really well. We're in a great place. I have a great work relationship with my board. And I don't feel that I don't feel threatened that I may be out of a job soon at this point.
Well, we hope not, and that was not what we were implying.
Right. Oh, I understand. Yeah.
We were just really asking.
Yeah.
Right.
Just go into it. Just go into it. Being ready. I would not start, go into applying for superintendent positions if you don't feel ready. Because again, it is a lot. It's a lot on these shoulders. The students you have, the staff, you multiply students times, let's say 2 or 3 parents, guardians, and households that have their village around those students. So you multiply out, that's a lot of people that are looking to me or superintendent for direction and guidance. So.
And that's a good segue into the next question. When you said there's a lot on these shoulders, the perception a lot of times of people at the district level, like I told you the other day, is that we're all sitting on goose eggs, That's the perception. And we know that that's not true. Give us an idea of what a day in the superintendency looks like. And I know that all days don't look the same. Just tell us one that really captures most of what you do on a daily basis.
Biggest, huge things I like to do in a typical day. Of course, you come into the office, and if I don't stop at school, sometimes I try to stop at a school first, just to pop in, check on administration, or just walk into a classroom to get my day started. I really like having that part of just popping into a school before I even get to the office. Because when you get to your office, turn your computer on, and then you have to start, as we all know, try to hit those emails. You try to keep those down from various things there, community things, other colleagues, principals, teachers, trying to get some of those emails answered. Then we kind of check in with my district office team, my chief officers, and with their various departments. If there any personnel matters, issue with transportation, maintenance issues, any curriculum instruction issues, or financing. So those department heads, in a sense, they'll keep me, they'll update me on anything that's going on in their various departments and ask my feedback. A lot of times they may need a decision to be made, and I'm that guy. I have to make that decision because it all falls back on me, regardless of what anybody else does in the school system. It comes back to one guy, and it comes back to the superintendent. So the daily operations, overseeing that, then we can start working on some long-range planning type of things for the district. And as we all know, I'm the point person. The superintendent is the point person for the district. All district matters. Anything that wants to happen in Chester county schools, it comes to my office. Of course, supervising principals, district staff, and of course, working with the school board. And I have 7 board members, so I have to make sure I'm responsive to them if things they have questions they have, or I need to meet with them or work on things that they may have given me, directives on, or did various things. I have to research matters and respond to them, and of course, supervising principals, and of course, managing our fiscal operation. That's a huge part of a school system, is making sure we're not in the red, that we're managing spending district funds appropriately, so that we're not any kind of issues with the State Department or anybody. So it's just a mixed bag of things, responding to people. So that's a typical day of just emails, phone calls, meeting with staff, and going to school as much as possible, meeting with community members. That's key, with business leaders and other community members, keeping that partnership in place, that collaboration within the school system.
Okay. And Lamont Ratchford is one of our regular viewers. He's an extended community member, wants to know, do you feel your appointment was a setup? I asked this question because so many times African Americans are hired for cleanup jobs, then they are fired after the hard work is done. Just a question.
Yeah, good question. And I didn't feel that way, because when I always ask, of course, the process of the interview process, I ask kind of what are key things that the board wanted me to do, in a sense, or work on. And of course, there were 3 items. One was, of course, improve academic performance of the district, improve communication, because that was some issues within the district as far as communicating with the public. And the third one was building construction, working to build new schools or renovate school facilities within the county. Those were the 3 things. So I really, if a superintendent goes in, they would know that going in. If the board would have let the superintendent know at the onset, we want you to go in, do these things, I would have known that at the onset. But the 3 things I named were the 3 things the board wanted me to focus on. And I'm definitely proud to say we've been able in 3 years, as we all know, with Dr. Taylor, you of course, and Dr. Houston, former principal at Chester Middle, having schools that were on priority are these various lists for the State Department. Schools are, we have schools now that are no longer on the list. So we've made, and they look, of course, from 2020 up until last fall or so. That's what we looked at for as academic, our test data. We have those schools no longer on list for the state. And thanks to leaders such as both of you, and we've done that. And of course, communication, as we know, that's improved tremendously, has been improved across our district as far as how we communicate with the public. Everybody knows what's going on in Chester County schools. We make sure that through various platforms. So facilities, as well, that's a work in progress on facilities.
And we're thankful to our great staff members who definitely were a part of that process of getting the schools off of the list, and also your support in that process.
Yes, that was, I mean, it all goes together, and we appreciate the transparency. And thank you for the question, Lamont, because you do hear horror stories sometimes about a superintendent who comes in, does a really good job of changing the culture and the climate of that space, and then they're gone. So thank you, though, for your transparent answer. And we're going to just ask, if you don't mind, like, for a person who's interested, what do you think, say a district administrator, a principal, whomever is interested in the superintendency, what should those people do to prepare right now?
I would say the key thing I would say is like have some experiences working with or shadowing a superintendent to really see what the role entails, or meet with a superintendent. And it doesn't have to always be the superintendent and currently where you work. I found that where you could get experience with some other school systems is beneficial. It's just because if you go within your own system, you already know how that system works if you're already in that particular district. So again, you can do that, but I would encourage leaders or those interested, try to seek some opportunities outside of your district to get those experiences to really see, because you can learn some things to bring back to your current school system. And again, my staff know I'm always willing to share my experience, because I look at it as somebody helped me, somebody opened the door for me, somebody allowed me to shadow them to be able to get to this point where I am today. So so they're paying it forward. So I don't mind doing the same thing. So that's the key thing, is just spending some time with the superintendent, having conversations about what a day in the life looks like, or a week or a month or certain times a year, and all the things that we go through in this role, because it is a lot, and every day is so different. And it doesn't stop. Another key thing, it doesn't stop at 4:30 or 5 o'clock. This is a 24/7 job. Before I became superintendent, I never did take my work cell into my bedroom, even as a principal. I always left it out on my kitchen counter until the next morning. But when I became superintendent, I have to take my work phone and put on my nightstand, because at times I could be called, which we've had. If you recall, we had that guy who he killed some people. We had him loose in the county in 2021. I got a call at 3:30, and I was up from 3:30 until that day. We had to make a decision. We had to close schools because he was on the loose, and a big manhunt and everything else. So I have to take my phone, and it's like this every 7 days a week. My work phone goes wherever I go. So it's a 24/7. So if you're fine with wanting a 24/7 job, then I said, go ahead, have at it, apply.
There might be some people out there who are I am so encouraged when you talk about those decisions, because we know that it's a heavy, burdensome job, because you carry the weight of all of us, all of our schools, and all of the children, all of the bus drivers, and the cafeteria staff, and custodial staff, everybody. We know you bear the weight of all that. So I know that this is a tremendously big job. But Sheikah and I often laugh, because the decision that I think is the most difficult for you as superintendent is, do we get a snow day? Because everybody wants a snow day, but the parents don't want a snow day, so you cannot win with whatever decision you make.
That's a huge one. That is a huge one. That one gives me heartburn. I can do other things, but when it comes down to if we have to close schools or not, that's a tough one. Because you're going to upset somebody.
Right.
You're going to upset somebody.
That's true. I'm glad you stated that about going to visit. That's one of my favorite things to do, go visit other counties and see what they're doing. And I know y'all get sick of me bringing back ideas, but I'll bring them back.
Yes.
So we know that as principals, definitely shaping the climate in the school is a very challenging thing to do. How do you do that within a district, mold and shape the climate?
I think two key things for me that I've seen with this is there has to be a shared vision
Hmm.
across the district. So, of course, as a superintendent, that's what I have to make sure I have those things outlined of where do I want to take this district,
Hmm.
and having those the action plan for it, having the shared vision, the goals in place, and having the buy-in and ownership from district staff, and then we branch out to school staff and of course community in that regard. And so in addition to that, a key thing is positive promoting and building positive relationships across the school system at all levels. Because again, it takes a village and a school village, I'll use that terminology, to make things work and to be effective in my role or with our school system to operate effectively. Everybody has to buy into it. That's sometimes going to be hard, but you work toward and let people see that you're not in here to play games. You're in here to improve the lives of students, which then in turn improves the community at large, and have the learning environment in place where people want to work in your school system. So we all have a part in this. So those are two key things: having a shared vision and goals that everyone in the school system buys into, and promoting and working to have that positive relationship, building that across the system. And I'll share a quick thing. Last 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting with our support staff cabinet, and those are just those classified employees, teacher assistants, secretaries, and bus drivers. The group we meet that represents from each school department. We met, and one of the things we allowed them to share: what are you hearing among the other support staff in your buildings?
Hmm.
And the representative, the support staff of the year, of course, the spokesperson, she said, Dr. Sutton, that what we're hearing from the staff, and they said that you're personable. They said, when I come to buildings, I don't just focus on teachers or administration. I go walk to the cafeteria of a school. I cut up with the cafeteria workers and ask, what are you cooking today? What's on the menu? And I talk to the custodian in the hallway. And that's noticed throughout the district. People, so I'm very personable, and I talk to people, regardless of what role you are. Everybody has an important role in what we do here. So that made me feel really well that that's something that's being discussed or that's known across the school system, that the superintendent comes into the building, I'll talk to anybody. I don't overlook any staff in the building. And so again, positive relationships, building that. So those are key things I feel help with the school climate, the culture of a district, and it trickles down to the schools.
And we agree, because you've sent us messages on Thanksgiving and Mother's Day where you're very personable. So we do appreciate that. That does matter.
Yeah,
It does, and it makes a difference when people are trying to help to carry out the vision, because you don't mind supporting the visionary when the visionary is somebody that you trust and believe is having your best interest at heart. So it makes a huge big difference. One of the other questions that we were thinking about, though, is like, what would you say right now is the most challenging thing that superintendents are facing?
Two key things come to mind. Continue to improve academic performance of students. That we're seeing a lot of students are coming into school, they're not prepared, and then it's like a domino effect. If they're not prepared at the elementary level, then they struggle at the middle school level. In the middle school, they're not, then it just carries on to the secondary level. And having worked on all three, I think you all have experiences. You could that's major. If students they're not having those foundational skills when they start school, and it has to really start, like 3 years old, pretty much, or 4 years old, they're going to, in a sense, be behind at pre-K or kindergarten if some things aren't being done prior to even coming to our buildings. So that's a challenge right now, and we're still dealing with the effects of the pandemic, and getting students level back up to where they need to be academically, when prior to, a lot of them were already struggling prior to that. So the pandemic exacerbated things. So working towards continue to improve that, and definitely proud to say that in Chester County Schools, we've had academic growth, we've had gains, so we're getting there, but it's going to be a continuous process long term. Second huge thing for the superintendent right now, the challenge is recruitment and retention of employees, of teachers. That's major across this country right now because there's a very small pot. And as we all know, colleges aren't being flooded with education majors. And so there's very few coming through degree programs. And so it's very few of the graduates. And those same 10 or 15 graduates, they're 25, 30, 50 school districts wanting the 15 or so people in a sense. And that's a major thing is retaining what we have and recruiting new teachers to come into our system. And right now, since there is this, we're in competition with our neighboring districts or across the state or other states. You know, sometimes we may lose a teacher here because the opportunities of things that are being offered in other states or in a neighboring district. So we try to make sure we position ourselves to make sure we support our teachers and we have a competitive salaries for teachers and all other staff, because it's just not the teachers. We can lose a teacher assistant or lose an assistant principal or a principal or a secretary or a bus driver because they can go to neighboring districts and if they can earn more money. And, you know, right now, the way things are in the economy, people are going where they could for higher pay. So those are two key things: academic performance and recruitment and retention of teachers.
Okay. And lastly, I heard a superintendent on an interview once say that it was hard to like principals if he was constantly having to fix things that were happening, you know, and a lot of times I think back to being a new principal. When you're new, things are going to happen. So I was wondering, you know, if he thought about providing his principals with coaches. And I was wondering what your thoughts were on providing principals with coaches, because that's one of the services that we offer. But we didn't necessarily have that. Would have been nice to have. That was before your tenure. But what are your thoughts on that?
And let me add to this question. The other part of that she could nicely left off is tell us how you feel about, like, when in order to know something, you have to ask. If you don't know, you have to ask. Tell us how you feel about that perception that you should already know this if you're sitting in this chair.
Well, I want my principals to ask questions, because that's telling me you're not just you're floundering out there. Because again, I know you from the superintendency, and you know, we think about me, I have nobody to ask because there's no other superintendent in my system. So I have to reach out to my network of other colleagues in other districts and to kind of ask, and those are veteran superintendents that I can bounce ideas off of. And of course, we do that with each other. Even they learn from me as a newbie in a sense, and there's some that are 10 plus years in a role that we bounce ideas off of. So now, I don't have an issue with. I think that shows me as a superintendent, if a principal is asking me questions, that's letting me know they want to do things right or want to improve. So they don't have a problem asking. They're not going to sit at their school and struggle, wondering, I want to ask, but I don't want to ask. I don't want to think. Superintendent think I don't know what I'm doing. No, I highly respect the principal that asks questions and because they want to do the right thing. I don't want them to go make a decision that's going to later come back and end up on my desk. That's going to be the problem. That's the issue I have.
So that is a problem.
That's the problem. If I have to get the call or email on it, thinking, why didn't you just ask? Let's ask on the front end. I could have saved you trouble and myself. So, yes.
Thank you. And with the coaching piece, I know, being in the principal seat, you do want to feel comfortable asking your superintendent questions, but the whole premise behind having a coach is you also don't want to appear incompetent or, you know, that, oh, wow, maybe I should know this. So when you have a coach, you really are letting that guard down to feel vulnerable to say what you really, really need versus I got to kind of be guarded to make sure that I don't end up losing my job if I'm saying, you know, I don't know certain things. So what are your thoughts on providing principals with, and I think self-selection of your coach is key as well, because if the district is giving me a coach then now it's like, oh, well, he's just going to go back and tell everything that we talked about, or she's going to go back and tell everything that we've talked about. So what are your thoughts on that
Yes.
self-selected coach for a principal?
Well, first I want to address the part of if coaches are a benefit or necessity, and I would say yes. In my second principalship in the district, I had an internal principal coach, or and then I had an external person. The external, nothing was shared with district. Now, unless it was something was for self-harm, if I was like, no, I'm done, I'm on in my life, or I'm gonna hurt somebody, then that's then of course that would report it. But otherwise, the external person is just a person I could vent to, bounce ideas off of. Nothing was shared back with the district level. So that's actually what will be started in our district with this July 1st, with any new principals I have in my system. This in the past 2 years now, and again, I'm not going to call names, but we have principals in our district that actually have coaches right now.
Oh, okay.
Within our system, we have two principals in our system that, and again, that's from my prior experience in the previous district, that felt that was needed to support them, because sometimes I get a coach can say things or have more time availability than I would, because I provide support, but I can't always be there on top of that principal. But a coach is different, because when you have your supervisor sitting next to you and going over problems, you may not be as forthcoming with things. So that coach is there to provide it. So I saw the need, and we've had coaches working in our system. That's not something we just kind of published now, but we have two coaches currently working with two of our leaders in our district right now. So I'm all supportive. I've saw the benefit of it, having it, because I could ask the internal person about district operations. If I was new to the system, they could help. Like, oh, this is how we do this, how we do that, or this is where you find this document, or this is who you contact about this certain things. That internal person could help with that. Then the external person, man, I want to say something bad about my superintendent, or say something about this person. The external person, I could vent to him or her, and know it stays there. It's between the both of us, kind of thing. So I'm a huge support. So to answer your question, I'm in support of that. We've already had them now in 2 years now. We've had coaches work in our system.
Oh, okay.
And then I will continue that to expand the external. Well, they both are external. So the internal piece, and we've had a kind of unofficial internal. We had a new principal. I've assigned a principal a person, so we've kind of had it in a sense, but it'll be more formalized with this upcoming July 1st with any new leaders to the district. They'll have two coaches, an internal and an external person. Now, the key thing you mentioned, Dr. Houston, that I haven't even thought of is letting the person self-select somebody. I didn't think to do that because normally when you have that, you have somebody that you have to be compensated for it. And so that's the piece we have to work through. But I never gave any thought of letting the leader self-select somebody. So that's an idea
I do think it it generates a level of trust with the administrator, so that you can be vulnerable. But like Sheikah said before, and I wanted you to just kind of elaborate, because we've seen the fact that you don't mind answering questions, or you don't mind sorting through what some people would call the weeds of the details of how things are supposed to go, so that people, whatever level you're on, have the clarity that they need. But for us, and Sheikah was in a different position than I was, because she was coming to her principalship with the experience of having been an assistant principal. I didn't have that. So there were things that I didn't know about school leadership that I just didn't know, because my only experience in the school was as a teacher, or as an instructional coach, or instructional coordinator, which is very different than being in an administrative role. So the first couple months of my principalship, I was coaching. I was leading like an instructional coach leads, because I didn't have that level of experience. So I am very appreciative that Sheikah and I were able to bounce things off of each other, or I had her as a go-to person, so that we were able to help each other to get through that. Because what we see sometimes are people who give up and faint, they quit because they don't have that. And when you're out there, like you said, floundering, nobody wants to feel like that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you
And think about it. It's the same thing we do for teachers. Why not do it for the other levels? That's how I look at it. We give
I
teachers
agree.
all the support when they're new and that kind
Mhm.
of thing. So why not? It should be in place for leaders as well, for principals.
agree.
I agree. We totally agree. I think that's kind of been like an old school mentality where like you the principal, you're supposed to know everything and not necessarily providing, support. So
How many
I'm
times were you told it? Oh, yeah.
not by Dr. Sutton, no.
I didn't say no. Like,
No.
nowhere in this equation.
Right.
Yeah. And I'll even say I thought when I came to the superintendency that I was going to be assigned a coach, like another super, but I don't know. I guess I assumed that. But here's year 3. I still hadn't met him or her yet. So I haven't. But thankfully I've been blessed to have a network of leaders that I've met and former superintendents I've worked with under in the past. They've been a huge support. So I've got a huge network of superintendents across the state and other states that know me that I can reach out to. But the state doesn't even assign new superintendents a coach as a superintendent, and I need it too. Because you think when you come, like you said, Dr. Taylor, coming into the role, you were operating how you were as a instructional coach or something like that. You didn't with the principalship. So same thing with me. I can come into it with the lens of my district position I was in prior to. But again, the superintendency is so different.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot because you got the entire system as a district administrator. I was responsible for my area, but as superintendent, all areas are under my umbrella in a sense, all of it.
Yeah, I feel for you sometimes, and we pray for you. We do.
Yeah, we do.
So that you are able to remain strong and continue to further the work that you're doing, because we are here for that reason. We're here to make sure that the experiences that our kids get in this district are experiences that are going to help them to become productive people. So we are natives who believe in this process and try to support as much as we can. And I'm just going to tell you, I came to my principalship from a district administrator's position. So, and I knew that wasn't how I was supposed to lead. Like I didn't know that much. Like I can't come here like this. I have to think about this from a school perspective. But it also was helpful because I can say this, like when it was time for us to do various reporting that had to be done, that wasn't something that we had to worry about because that was what I had done. So there are, strengths from, I think, probably having had whatever experience you come to your seat from, but it just helps, I think, in the grand scheme of things and whatever it is you're doing to have that support network, and which is part of the reason why Sheikah and I do what we do.
Definitely. And normally we would have story time, but we're going to allow you any special words that you would like to say to teachers for teacher appreciation.
Definitely. As I shared with the teachers earlier today, we had our teacher appreciation event this evening. I just asked them to hang in there because we know the role is continues to become more. It's difficult in terms of accountability at the state level and things that are being pushed down on that they have to do, and it stresses teachers out a lot. And I encourage them just to hang in there. And the student behaviors, a lot of things are just been exacerbated from the pandemic, and kids are coming back, and behaviors are just off the charts at times. And again, we may not have the parental support that they want in their schools, but I told them keep in mind the thing that keeps you coming back to your building every day is the student, not maybe the 20. Let's say you have a class of 20, you may not get. You might feel you only get into 2 or 3 that day. Hold on to that, and hold on to that. That's what's going to guide you and give you the energy you need to come back to that building every single day, knowing out of that 20, you're touching 5. You're getting through the 5, but eventually, if you're hanging long enough, they see that you care about them. You're going to get the other 20 or close to the other 20. They're making a difference. So I encourage teachers to hang in there, knowing, sometimes they may not feel they have the district level support. But again, I encourage mine, reach out to me if they feel something we're not doing, so we can look at that and recalibrate and pivot and make adjustments if we need to. And the teachers in my district know, they know I'm very responsive. You email me, I'm going to get back to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to give you a canned statement. Let's meet. I'll come to you at the school. You come to me, phone call, whatever it is. I'm going to reach back out to try to hear them out to see what we can do to improve the situation. We want to keep our teachers, but hang in there and just knowing they are making a difference and they are appreciated. And, we're going to continue to work on pay increases and those things to keep them compensated well and the support. But again, we appreciate what they do. And as we all know that whole adage, teachers make all other jobs and those things possible.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has to teach you something. Whatever you do in this life, you're going to have to be taught something. So it's a very crucial role that they have. And so they are definitely valued in Chester County schools, and I'm pretty sure in every district across this country. So.
Definitely. Thank you for those encouraging words for teachers. And if you are a parent that is logged on with us or a community member, make sure you take the time out to appreciate your child's teacher or any teachers that you know in the community. Without an educated workforce, our society definitely is going to perish. So just take the time to appreciate our educators. They are working hard. They're doing great things, and they are inspiring our students. So we want to keep them encouraged, keep their cups filled, and also make sure that we're supporting them.
For sure. And any teachers that are looking for a home, if you are looking for a good place to work, we are accepting applications and invite you to join us in the Chester County School District family, because we can match you with a school that suits.
Yes.
We promise.
That's true. So true.
Definitely. And I put a post up. I think 3 people have already emailed me about positions. This is the time Mr. Sumter starts to get heartburn, so I'll try to help him out. So if you are interested, like Tammy said, you can refer to my post. I put my email on there. Some people think that you have to have gone through a teacher education program to teach, but there are several alternative routes if you have a degree, and we can go over that information with you. So we're going to end the show, but hang on with us for just a second. Dr. Sutton, any other closing
We appreciate
words?
you too. We just want you to know you encourage the teachers and your administrators and all that, but we encourage you to hang in there too. And
Thank you. Because that's one thing I tell people, this is a tough role, the superintendency. So really, if you go into it, it's a tough role. You have to take a lot of hits, and a lot of times those hits are negative hits you take. But again, I know I'm doing my part when I can go home at night and lay my head and sleep through the night, which I love to sleep. So I know when I'm sleeping and I'm not waking up in the middle of the night stressing, that I've done the best I can that day. And I know I'm going to come back the next day and hit it hard again and go to sleep and keep doing it until we get down 18 more days to the end of the school year. We can slow down. But so that's what keeps me going, knowing, and we're seeing the fruits of our labor. Again, having schools offer those priority and CSI, those lists. And, we're not a cash-strapped district. We're not in the red. We're not struggling to pay things are covered. So those are things that I look at. We're moving in the right direction, Chester County Schools. Have the right people on staff. Again, are we perfect? No, we're not. We have, as in any district, we have things we want to improve on, or holes to fill here and there within things that we do. But again, we continue to work towards those, and eventually they'll get to where we want them to be. It's my goal when my time is up in this district, I can look back and say, I've truly made the district is in a better place than when I came. And that's what I would think for a principal, any position we're in, when our time is up in these roles, we can look back and say, things have gotten better from when I came into a particular role. That's how I gauge how successful I've been as a leader for the system.
That's awesome. Again, we appreciate your leadership. We appreciate your support, and we definitely appreciate you coming on to give these insights and encouraging words to teachers today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yes.
Thank you all for joining the collaborative. Have a great rest of your day, and don't forget to tune in to us on Saturday at 10:30 for the Real Academy. Thank you.
Join Sheikah and Tammy on the collaborative. Let's go!
The collaborative.
1, 2, 1, 2.
The collaborative.
What's that time?
On Facebook Tuesday at 7.